All right, hey everybody. So this is the finished look. I finished the rest of it off of camera. If you catch the first video, that's I already did my eyebrows off camera, and I already set my face. I just did my face on camera, but this is what I finished off camera. I used Juvia's Place. I put it away. It's mauves, I guess. That's what it was. Oops, sorry. And it was like pinks, purples. It was like, like some pinks, some purples and everything. And so I did that. Usually, most people wear like a little nude lip. But I realized I don't have to do what most people do. I can do what I want. And so I just comb my hair, brush my little edges a little bit, but my hair is in a bun. I actually did my eyebrows a little bit different than normally. I usually like make them a little thicker, but I cleaned up my eyebrows before I got on live the first time. And then after that, I just try to keep them closer to the shape of my brows. And so what I did was this time differently was I put different concealers. I did something different. Like I used a concealer closer to my skin tone first, and then I used my fawn from not Juvia's Place, but LA Girl. And so I don't think I'm getting better, but I think the fact that I'm doing it because I love to do this, it's been a lot of fun. Just to hang out online on camera and do things that I love to do. I love to talk, so just gonna work on the talking thing, maybe write some things down that I really want to talk about when I do go live to make it easier. And I just feel like because y'all haven't seen my face in the morning, it's been a little more difficult to get y'all to come on at night. But hi to those who catch the replay. Hey to those who popped on. Let's just have a quick conversation. Like I said, the makeup is over. I'm not doing any more makeup. I just kind of wanted to talk. I was in the first live, I was talking about transition, and I was talking about how that a lot of us in this pandemic, post-pandemic, everyone, we're all in different transitions. And so I wanted to just talk about transition real quick. And so when you think about your life, where you're at right now, a lot of us are in transition. So for me, I'm transitioning from, believing that everyone that I've been connected to, that I know this sounds naive, but they have how do I say this without saying this? I'm transitioning from believing that everyone that I've been connected to in this season, even if like in just my life in general, they really have love for me. The thing is that I realize is that loving people can be easy. Everybody can fall in love. Everyone can love people, but really liking and supporting people are totally different. And so what I've come to realize in my own life right now, I'm transitioning out of believing that because people love me, they actually like me. And the thing is, I have to get out of that quickly, because when I realize that people who love me don't necessarily like me, you get stuck in this place of feeling like you don't have to move, you don't have to go anywhere, because the people that you love, and they say they love you, they make you feel like because you love them that they're going to be there. And in reality, just because they love you doesn't necessarily mean they like you. And that includes family members. Like, I realized in this season that people have issues with me about things that are out of my control. And so when we think about the pandemic, we have to think, and we think about the time that we're in right now, we have to think that we are in transition. You have to be okay with transition. You have to be okay. Just like when you do your makeup, there's a transition color. So the first color that I used was like a pink color, and I put that on my lid. And so that as I put the base color on my lid, where was the lighter color. Then I moved into a more purple color, so that as I'm flowing and I get from the light color to the dark color, then you realize, there's a transition right there. And that is to buffer out, from being really, really high and then from being really, really low. And so your transition in your life, realizing that sometimes the places that you've been attached to, just because you love those places, doesn't mean that those environments, they have what it is that you need to be fed. You got to get to the place where you're okay with realizing that the places that you have been, and you've been in love with those places, you've been fed in those places, you got to be okay with realizing that there's an uncomfortability that comes when you are emotionally growing up and you are spiritually growing up, and then you are mentally being healed. A lot of us are okay, and we're okay, and we're used to being in a place, in a position where we have been broken, where we have been dealing with trauma, that some of us don't know how to let go of being trauma, being in the drama, right? And so transition, what it does is it moves you from this place of needing to hold on to your trauma, needing to hold on to all the drama, needing to hold on to all of the people who say they love you, but they don't really like you. Transition helps you move from that place into this area where you have to really depend on you and God until you get to that place. And so with me transitioning out of believing that just because people love me doesn't mean that they like me. Just because people say I love you, sis, just because people say I got your back, just because people supposed to love me doesn't necessarily mean that they like me. And so sometimes you have to get to a place where, this is the finished look. But I'm just talking about transition right now. I just wanted to talk about that real quick before I get off. But you have to get to a place where when you are no longer holding on to environments that drain you, when you are realizing that you are more than the trauma that you have experienced, the trauma that you've experienced, then you will realize that transition is just here to move you into another space, another place. And so as I'm working out that just because people love me doesn't mean that they like me, I have to now realize that all these time that I've held on to people because of love. And yes, love is important. When I got married, being married, I love my husband, but I tell people that I like him. The difference between loving somebody and liking somebody is that love, we know it covers a multitude of sin. But liking somebody means that my own temperament, my own feelings, my own everything, that a lot of times can go up and down. So when I choose to like you, that means I'm taking in an account at the fact that you're going to irritate me. I'm taking into account at the fact that you're not going to always do what it is that I desire for you to do. Love, we seem to, because we love it, we seem to brush over the little small details of people. But when you like somebody, you know the details, you notice the details, and in the details, you still desire to be around that person. You still desire to talk to that person. And so that's where I just want you to realize that when you're in transition, you're going to notice that environments that you used to excel in, now they're not enough for you. When you are ready to transition and move into the now that God has for you, the places that you got all the love and the support, you're going to start seeing that outside and underneath the love, people don't really like you. They don't like you because you're choosing not to hold on to your trauma. You're choosing not to be depressed. You're choosing not to be out of shape. You're choosing not to live in poverty. And so you got to get to the place where you understand that where you are going and how you're deciding to maneuver is going to cause the people who love you to not like you. And so that's what I'm realizing. That's what transition is showing me. Moving from, just believing that I have to be in this one area, that I'm believing that I have to be in this one place, in this one mindset, and realizing that though people love me how I am, though people love me, being me, it comes to the point where I have to start making moves to where I'm going to find out that they don't really like me, or I'm finding out that they don't really like me even though they've claimed to love me. And so that is what I realized about transition. Another thing that I said on the live when I was doing my makeup was that I was saying that in transition will show you that some people only have kept you around because they don't want to be accountable for themselves. And so when you're thinking about moving forward with your life, think about the people, the things that will manifest in other people when they are upset that you're deciding to move differently. They're upset because you've decided to heal. They're upset because you're deciding to not let the small things bother you. They will become upset because now they are responsible and accountable for their own actions. They're responsible and accountable for their own actions. And that's where you realize that who you've been attached to, where you've been hanging out, who you've been talking to, who you've been confiding in. Sometimes in transition, you're going to realize that they cannot go. And when you don't make the distinction between, hey, I'm moving in this direction, and you don't let them know, and you don't give them back the responsibility to be accountable for their behaviors, then you will begin to see that if you don't say something, they're going to think that they have bought a ticket to your next level. And when God wants to get us to a next level, I've come to realize that there is a separation that happens. If you're starting to notice that people who say that they love you no longer like you, then God is transitioning you to somewhere else. God is moving you from a state of brokenness to a state of wholeness. When you realize that environments that you used to get joy out of, that you used to love going to your job, you used to love living in your city, you used to love living in your complex area, your apartment complex or in your neighborhood, and you are getting annoyed and you feel drained every time. I was saying on the other live, what ended up happening was for me, at a job that I was working where I realized it was not my passion, was that I would drink coffee like 3, 4, 5 times in one day, every day. It didn't matter, if I ate food. It didn't matter if I drank water. I just wanted coffee. And then when I wasn't at that place and it was a day off, I never thought about coffee because that place was draining me in a different way than it had before. Not that tired at work, like, oh, I'm tired from working, but you're just tired because you're in an environment. Those who go to church, if you find yourself drained at the place where you're supposed to lay down all your burdens, God may be transitioning you out of that place, out of that community, and might be moving you into a space of real community of people where they like and love you. Get with the people who like and love you. Don't just be with people who kind of like you, excuse me, and they cover it up with love. Get with the people who like and love you. If the people can like you and they really can care about you, and even though we are called to love all people, once we get over the fact that we love everybody, then we need to get to the details. Start beginning to deal with people on personal level and get to the details of who they are. When I realized that real friendship and relationship calls for me to get into the details of people's lives and their situations, that's when I realized if I really like this person or not. Because I can love somebody from a distance. I can have love, genuine compassion for people. But then when it's not working for me or no longer working for me, then I realize I don't really like those people. That just because I love you doesn't mean that I like you to the point where I want to have an intimate, close relationship with you. And so transition will show you that sometimes that we hold on to love because it covers a multitude of sin. It puts us in a position to kind of like gloss over everything. But when we get down to the nitty gritty and we begin to heal ourselves, and we began to seek the face of God and really say, God, like I'm ready to move into this next phase of my life, then you will begin to see that the people who say that they love you don't necessarily like you. And so, like I said, another thing of a transition is you will begin to realize that people themselves, oh yeah, they'll start to manifest. They'll start to say things. They'll start to look at you funny. They'll start to ignore you because you no longer being accessible to them in the same way, or you no longer wanting the same things as they have wanted, or they wanted, that you guys have wanted together. Now they will begin to realize that they have to be responsible for their actions. They have to be responsible for what they have not accomplished. They have to be responsible for what they are doing in their day-to-day lives, instead of having you to call, you to text, you to speak to be able to talk them off the ledge. Now they have to make their decisions on their own. Now they have to lean on God on their own. Now they have to call their other friends. Now they have to look in the mirror and really think about what it is that they are doing. So, transition will also come with separation. That when you start to see that people who love you don't necessarily like you, then you'll start to see that people who you've had a close, intimate relationship with, they will begin to kind of manifest in a way where, they're kind of like against you, or they're like being, distant. Then that's when you'll realize, okay, now they have to be accountable and responsible for their behaviors and their actions outside of me. They can't just tag along with me. And if you don't say anything, I was saying that earlier, if you don't say anything, that's just like you saying, if you're not making the distinction that you're moving into a different direction, or you're healing, or you're growing, and God is taking you and moving you to another place in your life, in your journey, in your growth, and you don't say anything, or you don't make it clear that there has to be a distinction between you and them, then you're allowing them to have a ticket and a seat on the train of your life to go to the next station, the next journey. And you have to and that's what transition does. It brings you to a place of separation. It brings you to a place where you realize those people, they said they love me, but I realized some of them didn't like me. Okay, the ones who've been rocking with me, now I have to realize that, they're not going to be happy, because now they have to be accountable and they can't have access to me. Now I have to go through and make preparation by myself. Like, I have to become separate. I cannot be with other people all day long, talking all day long, communicating all day long. I can't be on the internet all day long, because my transition is going to require for me to be separate. That means certain voices can't be in my ear. That means certain places I'm not going to go because they're draining. There's certain people that cannot come over my house. There's certain things that I'm not going to engage in. I'm not going to listen to. I can't read the comments of, because now I got to go into a place of separation. And so that's what I kind of learned about transition right now, of me just transitioning from realizing that the people who say they love me don't really like me, and realizing that, just realizing that God is bringing me to another place of understanding, revelation, realizing that God is bringing me to another level of healing things from my childhood, not remembering the things of the past, but as accepting who I am right now. I think it was yesterday, where I was just having a conversation within myself, and I was talking to God, and I was like, God, what is this? Why do I feel like I have to be perfect? And so a lot of some of my content yesterday, that I posted yesterday, was about feeling perfect. Why do I have to feel perfect? I'm not perfect. So why do I have to feel like I'm perfect? And that's what I've come to realize, is that is a trauma response. That is something about my trauma, that my trauma has made me feel like, because I may have felt broken and abandoned and not good enough, that I had to be perfect. And so that's just what I wanted to share. I wanted to share my heart. I wanted to let you guys see the finished look. This is Juvia's Place. I believe it's called Mauves. I'm not saying that right. But I really enjoy doing these makeup things with you guys. I'm trying to keep them short so they're not like over an hour. But I just wanted to share that. That was my heart. Like I couldn't really share in depth when as like I was like when I was doing the makeup. All right, so God bless you, God keep you, and until the next time, I don't know if I'm probably just gonna talk tomorrow morning. I might just do something in the morning. If you're catching the replay, if you make it all the way to the end, fast forward a little bit, and you'll see the look, and then you'll see me talking. All right, God bless you, God keep you. Bye.